Hi, this is Rebecca at RebeccaTroop.com. And today I'm talking about chapter 2 of Outwitting the Devil, written by Napoleon Hill. It's called A New World is Revealed to Me. In chapter 1, he talked about how he met his other self when he had completely bottomed out. He had nowhere to turn, and his higher self kicked in, his other self, he called it, and it told him exactly what to do. Go to Philadelphia. Told him how to get there. Borrow money from your brother-in-law. He did that. So in chapter 2, he explains how the other self told him to go through the list of every person he could think of who could possibly loan him the money he needed to publish his book, Think and Grow Rich. He needed $25,000. He spent 2 days going over every name, 300 people, and everyone he touched on, the answer was no from the other self. So he finally sat down in exhaustion in his chair and took a little doze. And he said it was like there was an explosion in the room. All of a sudden, the name of a man came into his thought that he had done some business with. The man had been an advertiser for his magazine that he had published previously. And it was someone he hadn't been thinking about, but he immediately sent him a letter with a proposal. And the man contacted him the very next day, came to Philadelphia. He showed him the manuscript for his book, told him he needed funding to publish it. And the man just thumbed through it a little bit, didn't read it at all, looked off into the distance, and came back and said, I'll publish your book. And he did. And that's how the other self operates sometimes. It will find the solution to the problem. I'll give you an example of one that happened to me once. I was living in a condo in Boston that I had purchased, and there was a terrible pilot strike looming. You know, I was a flight attendant, and this strike was supposedly going to be epic. And I'd even had a dream about it, and I saw this terrible battle going on between the pilots and management, and I really felt 100% it was going to happen. And I was concerned because I didn't really have the resources to sit out a long strike and pay my bills. I needed to pay my mortgage and live, and I knew that my income would be shut down. So I was tossing and turning every night for a few nights, trying to figure out what to do. And then all of a sudden, it was like the light went on in my consciousness, and I realized that even though I'd only owned this condo for about a year, it had gone up considerably in value, and I had equity in it. So I went and got an equity line of credit for $20,000, which I knew would be enough to cover me for quite a while. And I was as calm as could be. And this is the thing about the higher self, the other self that Napoleon Hill talks about. Your only limitation is the one which you set up in your own mind. And there is always, always a solution. It doesn't matter how big the problem is. There is always a solution. He goes on in this chapter to talk about all the men that he interviewed who were very successful had always, always been tested. They had to go through struggles, adversity, and overcome them in order to bring what their gift or their incredible idea or invention was into the world. People like Edison, Ford, Carnegie, they all had to overcome adversity in order to manifest what their greatest desire was, their burning desire, and their purpose. And they were able to do that. So he found out through his own personal experience that higher intelligence, this infinite intelligence that we're part of, sets up these little obstacles almost for us to overcome in order to prove that we're truly committed. Because when we overcome the obstacles that are thrown in our path and we keep going, doors open, people show up, the things that we need show up. Adversity is God's opportunity. So this chapter is a pretty powerful one because he goes on to explain how he started to pray differently after he had this particular lesson from his other self, showing him that if he listened to this guidance, he got what he needed in the form of the resources. And he wanted to publish his book on success principles so that he could reach people all over the world that were suffering from not knowing how to apply the principles of success in their own lives. And of course, this was the time of, they'd had a Great Depression. And there were many people struggling, trying to figure out how to reinvent themselves, how to find success in their lives again. He knew that the need was there, and his desire was to help mankind. So the more you're wanting to help people on the planet and do positive things, your higher self will find ways to make it happen. He also learned that he started to pray differently. Instead of begging and asking for things when difficult times came, he started to express gratitude every single day for everything that he had. He had a body that was functioning perfectly. He was able to think properly in order to bring his message into the world. He had a family. He had things that he was very happy about, and he gave gratitude for that. And that feeling of gratitude on a daily basis, he found, put him more in contact with infinite intelligence, which was able to bring him exactly what he needed when he needed it. The message in this book is so powerful, and I invite you to read it. It's a really good one. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.